Hello and welcome to another edition of the Future Hospitality Summit podcast. I'm Jay Green, Sponsorship Manager for The Bench, and today I have the pleasure personally of hosting the lovely Heidi Grimwood, who is the Vice President of Elena Spa. Heidi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Perfect. So look, I know you've been keen to do this for a while, so just before we get into Elena Spa and why you're on the podcast, could you tell us more about your lovely self and how you sort of got into the wellness industry?
Sure. A long time ago now, about nearly 30 years, I actually traveled to New Zealand and studied as a fitness instructor, personal trainer. So my life of wellness actually started from like the nutritional background and fitness background, and that kind of come from a personal journey of being a very overweight child. And I kind of got into health and fitness as a teenager, and then it just seemed to kind of just be a natural progression that then I'd go in and start helping other people, find their wellness and find health, which of course it wasn't so much wellness back in those days, but yeah, it's how it all started in the olden days, as we say. And From there, I went to London and opened the first corporate gym for Richard Branson for Virgin Atlantic Airways, where he was really ahead of his time when they were, looking at employee wellness and everything. And I've got really itchy feet watching the guys flying off every day, on their little adventures. But I still wanted to keep my passion of fitness. And I just saw an opportunity for cruise ships and ended up on the cruise liners then for 7 years. I started off as a fitness trainer and then progressed into a spa manager. And from there, and I was only 23 when I became a manager. And from there, I went to the Maldives and then went to Ireland, run health and wellness facilities, run retreats, different things like that. Then run my own business once I had my daughter, and had consulting and training business for developing spa managers in their management skills. Always kept the fitness side. So I was always teaching on the side or doing nutrition or something. So it's such a passion of mine. And then 4 years ago, I was approached by Atmosphere Wellness to join them to develop the wellness element of their company. So we've expanded from 2020 during COVID. So we expanded from 4 properties. We've now got 9, and we're growing and growing year on year. So yeah, that's my journey so far.
I'm personally quite impressed with your journey. I guess there's a lot of synergies there, especially from childhood. But I really want to focus on you in particular. So for people that don't know, of course, Elena Spa is a subsidiary to Atmosphere Wellness, and I believe they attended FHS last year. So in terms of sort of Elena Spa, because I know there's an acronym with you guys with nature and you sort of play on sort of certain energies, where exactly did that come from, and how does it play into sort of your kind of philosophies?
So Elena is an acronym of elements of nature. And when they formed Elena back in 2015, it was just about connecting back to the earth, back to the energies, and back to the 5 elements. So everything that they started with was just all about, reconnecting with those different energies, really. And then when I came in, we kind of took it to the next level where we started to incorporate more wellness elements into that, and then really take the journeys on another level where we were really focusing on like all the different senses, and then connecting with, because whether you're looking at, it doesn't matter what what discipline you're looking at, whether it's Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, anything like that, they kind of all fairly similar. They link back to the same thing. So even though we still have like Ayurveda in our concept, it links perfectly with the Chinese medicine, because your 3 different doshas are connected somewhere to the earth, the wood, the fire, etc. So yeah, it's very much about reconnecting with that, because you've got to understand that I think that, people are constantly looking at the physical, the external elements, of how they look, and looking at hands-on treatments and all of that. But we have to start internally. So by understanding the different elements, you don't just understand about the people's physical being, but you also understand what may be of imbalance internally. So like if you're a fire element, it's more of coming from the gut, like it tends to be more digestive challenges, so depending on those different elements, you can kind of connect and understand what's going on internally. And if we work on the internal elements as well as the external, then you're going to be much healthier, and it's going to be more longevity rather than these little trends and fads that keep going on.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think there is a lot of sort of these words that are just thrown about mental health, holistic well-being, detoxing, or digital detoxing now. I mean, how are you
Yeah.
sort of keeping aligned with your core values and sort of taking it now into the corporate world to try and sort of, get it into more hotels and operators that sort of are going sort of back in your philosophies? How are you guys trying to do that?
Well, I've tried different ways. Like I've always been very authentic. I've always just kind of gone with what I'm passionate about, and what I have the knowledge on, and if I don't, I will bring in key team members that have that knowledge and expertise, and passion is most important. But what I try not to do is follow the trends. Like, you can't say, oh, the latest trends and this is what's happening and this is what's going to dominate the wellness industry. I come from the fitness background where we went through that back in the 90s, where you had an aerobic studio and like you start to see the step boxes in there, the step aerobic boxes. And then the step aerobic boxes went to one side and then there was the trumpets and then they got piled in the corner. And then the next thing, the studio is just full of all this unused equipment because everybody jumped on the latest fad and trend. So I'm very passionate about sticking with what's true to us rather than jumping on what the industry is trying to tell us, that everybody's gonna solve all your problems. Everything is longevity with this. So I very much work on understanding the clientele, I suppose, because we are a management company. So I see what they're passionate about. Because if you can't get the owners on board understanding you, you're never going to get full support and a genuine kind of run with it. So rather than me forcing my beliefs and all of my expertise on them, I understand them very much and then see how I can adapt that and bring an element of what we offer to them that fits with them. So, I harp on a lot about this, like wellness your way, which is our philosophy for our wellness retreats. But wellness your way is so important because we have to make it their way. We can't force ourselves. People are not going to have the same lifestyle. People are not going to be like me and get up at 5:30 in the morning to go and do their exercise and everything. Not everyone's like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone needs to find their own way of wellness, but it's the same in business. So I try very much to adapt rather than dictate. And so far it's working really well because I'm very much aligned with the owners, on what we can give to them as a company, but also what we can obviously give to their guests as well.
Absolutely. And the key thing that you said there was finding different ways for different people. See, for me, I'm very much into my wellness, but you wouldn't see me up at 5 in the morning, sort of doing a sauna or something like that. So, I know that Elena Spa has a retreat program. So, how does that sort of work, and what sort of the benefits in terms of perhaps enhancing the guest experience for them?
So we have three programs of wellness. And again, I think I saw so much. Even my husband went through his own journey, he had very bad eczema. And he went to some ashrams in India to actually heal it. And he'd had it since a child. He's into his late 40s. And finally, he's in a good place. But the journey he went on was so challenging. And he doesn't have the same belief as me. Like we're not in the same space when it comes to wellness and things. So he had to take a completely different journey to how I would have taken it. And this is what really opened my eyes to, I've always understood that wellness needs to be flexible, but then I realized that there's also different entry points. And actually the entry point he went in his wellness retreat, they should have taken him back about 2 or 3 stages in the entry point because it was too stressful and it was too overwhelming for him. And this is where the idea of the wellness seeker, which is kind of like your toe dipping into wellness. Maybe I just want to try a couple of therapies. Maybe I want to have a consultation, just to understand what's going on with me. Then you have your rendezvous. And the rendezvous is like maybe somebody's on vacation and they want to spend 2 or 3 hours a day doing wellness, but they still want to have their champagne and they still want to go off and have their fabulous dinners. And then you have your rejuvenation, which is just fully immersive. But that still doesn't mean that we dictate the entire lifestyle. And what I love about the retreats that we do here is that, think about it. Like when you go on vacation, you don't immediately chill out on the first day of vacation. It takes you a couple of days to kind of wind down. And so it's the same when you come to a retreat. So why we think a 4-day retreat, you're going to immediately just step in, go hardcore. Now, look, you and me, we're into wellness. So we probably could do that because our body's been able to cope with it and our mind more than anything can. But you take just a regular Joe that's coming in and they're just going, this isn't going to work. And I know people to walk and say, I can't do this. This is just too overwhelming. So what we do with our wellness retreats is we say, look, here's your program, and it's all based on a pre-arrival consultation, and it's very bespoke to them in every element, from what's going on in their villa to what's going on in the spa. We make sure that we work on the emotional element of it, as well as the gut health and obviously the physical. But we say to them, look, this is your program. When you arrive, let's see how you feel. If you want to roll with it, we'll start going. If you need to pull back a bit, we'll work with you on this. Now, we're not going to let you just completely give up altogether, and say, no, just let me go and, have the good old breakfast and champagne. But we're going to say, look, let's take it in stages. And by doing that, actually, people are more receptive to say, no, I'm good to go. They might, on the first night, say I'm a bit tired. We'll start afresh in the mornings, So it's really like the wellness programs I want it to be accessible to everyone. And if I can even be able to convert just a few people from Wellness Seeker that say, hey, my next vacation, let's do 2 or 3 hours a day. Yeah. And then the rest I can enjoy it. If I can convert them to that, it's a really big deal, because you're giving them so much more than they even thought they were capable of, So this is where we try and open the door and make wellness accessible to everyone when it comes to guests coming to us. But on the flip side, as my MD would say, wellness has to be accessible to everyone, regardless of your budget, right? Everybody deserves to have wellness. So we really do play a big part in community wellness. And we don't shout very loudly about it, because it's not about us boosting our egos, say, hey, look what we're doing. But we quietly want to make a big difference everywhere we are, So like in the Maldives, we work with the Maldives Cancer Society, and we work very closely with them and give them wellness days. Like they were with us for International Yoga Day. We did a beautiful wellness breakfast for them. And we're going to do sound healing with them next week, for example. When we go to India, we connect again with local communities. We did in Dubai as well, actually, recently. So we quietly go in and we try and just have a small impact on people where we can, so that we can say, look, we're so privileged to have all of this wellness around us. Where we can, we want to give back to the community and make sure that it's accessible there as well. And I think that as an industry, it should be our responsibility. We're all very successful in our entities, that we should be able to give in that way, but not give loudly. Give and be genuine. Give and don't flesh it about. It doesn't matter other people's opinions. So yeah. So wellness is very unique element, I think, from what we offer, and it does take people sometimes to completely understand the concept. But when they get it, they really appreciate it, because finally somebody's understanding them.
The word that you've brought up a couple of times there is longevity, and I think it's not just about some wrinkles in your skin, it's about how you feel internally. You've mentioned gut health quite a lot also on this podcast. I mean, in terms of longevity, trying to get someone sort of comfortable with the idea of dipping their toe in the water, pardon the pun, where they are kind of just sort of going from the start to end of wellness all the way through to the hardcore person, maybe like me and you, that would just go for it. How do you sort of develop that training or that personalization for them to say, this is what you should do, just give it a try and just sort of see how it goes? How do you sort of tackle that initial customer to sort of get them to try it?
I think you've got to really sit with them and really understand them. And this is a big thing we do. We do a lot of NLP and emotional intelligence. So it's about really understanding where that person's at and also their motivation for it. So they've got to have a strong motivation for this. And you also got to figure out with them, is this just something you want a quick fix for? Or are you really in it for the long haul? And I say to everyone, you're going to do this. This isn't going to take a week. This is your starting point, but this is going to take 6 to 12 months to even get you at a place where you really feel like this hard work has paid off. So you need to decide where you want to enter this and how you want to start. And some people start and they fall off the wagon, as I call it, and then they come back in again. Sometimes, like my husband, it took him 3 attempts to go to India before he went, all right, I take it seriously now. because he'd go there and he'd be really strict, and then he'd come home and then he'd eat all the foods that the doctor told him not to, and he wouldn't be following anything other than taking he thought the meds were going to do it, all the Ayurvedic medicines were going to sort it out, and all the other stuff was just kind of, and it took 3 months, it took 3 separate months over a space of 12 months to him to go, oh, I see that the food is a big deal in this. And I'm like, yes, but can't listen to your wife, you have to listen to someone else on it. But so I think everybody is just at a different starting point. So understanding the motivation is very, very important, but also being very realistic with them and saying to them, your quick fixes are not going to heal. Like, it's a whole healing element. The gut has to heal. And the gut is pretty much wounded with everybody, with our lifestyles in general. So in order to start healing all of that, that's not going to happen overnight. We've got to think about how many years, depending on, the type of lifestyle. If the lifestyle is very extreme, it's going to take longer. So yeah, emotional intelligence, NLP, is definitely a big factor in being able to understand the clientele and be able to read them. Sometimes they'll come in and they'll be like, I'm not feeling this today. And that's perfectly fine. I wake up someone and it's going, really, am I going to do this? Like, it's raining outside, don't think I need to go out. And I'm just like, just get up and do it, but we all feel that. And I think we've just got to appreciate that, people are going to have, it's like the universal laws, right? You have to go up and down. You can't just keep going up. So we've got to give people that autonomy to say, it's okay to fall off, but just know that you need to get back motivated, get back on, and understanding how you can help them get back on track, really. Yeah.
Amazing. Look, you've been at Elena Spa now for nearly 4 years, and you said you've been in the industry for 25 years now, which is quite impressive. So you have this amazing credibility, and you're now in South Asia in the wonderful Maldives. So in terms of sort of the industry trends now, let's sort of take it back to the trends now, where even the Middle East, I see, where I'm here in Dubai, it really is sort of evolving in terms of the technology that I'm seeing with red light therapy, infrared spas, contrast therapies. I mean, how is Elena Spa sort of adapting to the growing demands of wellness and sort of position yourselves as leaders in the market?
Again, not jumping on any of the trends, I think, is the key thing. Again, just adapting each property that we're working with, seeing the type of clientele and seeing what they are really looking for that would really work with them. It's taken me 4 years, like on one property here, we're now talking about, certain wellness offerings that we're going to add in. It's taken me 4 years for them to go, okay, yeah, we'll try it, because they didn't necessarily see the value as owners at that stage, So, and I understand that, because there's so much investment in these things, and then what return? And I think what's very important for owners as well as for spa and wellness leaders is that we don't jump onto these bandwagons with everything. I'm not saying don't run with them, but know the reason why you're bringing it in, be passionate and knowledgeable about it, and then be able to also look at your ROI and say, yes, I know my guests are going to get these results, but this is going to be the return on investment financially and results within your guests. You need to know what the return on this investment is. Is this really worth it? I see so much equipment lying around spas and wellness facilities, and they're just sitting there. And then I go in, when as a consultant, I would have gone in and I would have said, what's this? Oh, no one knows how to use that anymore. So all the people that were taught how to use that equipment have now left the company, and now you've got like 30 grand's worth of equipment sitting there just rotting, So my belief is that you're going to bring it in, be genuine, and for your reasons for bringing it in, don't just follow the trend. But there's so much out there. There's so many cool things out there, like, wearable technology and, your cryotherapies, your infrareds, all of those things. And there's amazing results that we can get where we don't have to necessarily go under the knife anymore or go with the needles, and I know a lot of people are going more away from that now. So, there's a lot of options out there. But yeah, for us, very much case by case scenario of what we follow, but also look at how you can evolve. So like next year, our wellness retreats, we're bringing in some new elements to it, based on the clientele and based on the interest of our team as well, because the team have to be passionate enough to drive it for you as well as knowledgeable. So we're bringing in some beautiful things next year, but I know my team are going to really drive it because it's going to get them excited. So yeah, there's so many layers to it, not just, oh yeah, let's pluck that out and let's just bring that in. That's a lot of money wasted on that.
Absolutely agree. And you've mentioned, of course, guest satisfaction, which is so key into enjoying your stay in hotels. But you're quite unique, aren't you? Because you mentioned, of course, Elena Spa also has investment opportunities. So how does it work in terms of licensing agreements, say, as a wellness organisation from South Asia? How does it work in trying to get into different regions like the Middle East, for example? Of course, you're going to be attending FHS World. I'm going to have the pleasure of seeing you and Sasha there. Maybe see our country pavilions, perhaps the Maldives. We really relish
I'm
your
looking
feedback
forward to
on.
that.
How does that work? Yeah, how does that work in terms of licensing agreements or driving occupancy rates, guest satisfaction, etc.? How does that sort of work?
So we're very open as a company. We don't have just one set model. We actually have multiple models, and again, we work with the different regions. So we're finding like different regions in Asia, Middle East are requiring different business models from us. So like the Maldives will have one model. We've got a different model, for example, in India that we're expanding into this year, or we've already expanded, should I say? But we're continuing later on this year. So we're very flexible with those business models. But also what we do is we do a lot of research. So when we go and meet the different companies, we understand what their requirements are as much as what we can bring to the table. And obviously we do all of the due diligence on everything to make sure that we're a fit for them, but they're a fit for us as well, because it has to be an alignment. Everybody has to be aligned with what their vision is. Again, you've got to look at the possibilities. Like we look at some projects last year, and the particular project was a small project. But I said, do we have the opportunity of taking outside guests? No. I said, it's not going to work for either business. So I was very honest with them. We'd love to have taken the opportunity, but neither one of us were going to come out positively from that. So there was no point in kind of stepping forward. So we can guide them on how to develop, but that was it. So yeah, the business models will all be there's flexibility in there.
Well, I certainly am looking forward to seeing you guys at FHS World. In terms of sort of the next 12 months, looking perhaps into 2025 and getting closer to, everyone's quite excited for the 2030 vision. What is sort of the next sort of goals and sort of things that Elena Spa and you personally are looking to achieve?
As a company, we are opening another four properties this year, and in Maldives and in India. And then next year again, more expansion in the Maldives and India for us, which is very exciting. Our training academy has really kicked off this year. So we're the first training academy, the only and first CIBTAC certified training academy in the Maldives. So we're not about, just keep everything within our company. If the whole of the Maldives is benefiting from that development of wellness, then the Maldives can become a more firm wellness destination. So we've opened up our training opportunities to everyone in the Maldives, all the resorts. We get together, we get everyone trained up so that we can really offer some awesome experiences here. So the Wellness Academy is a really big venture for us. More volunteering, of course. And then personally on my side, I'm going to be training as an NLP master, and next year I'll be training as an NLP master trainer as well. So I want to be able to give that. I want to give more to my team that can give more to their guests, and I love training. So for me, going and gaining more knowledge will just help us be able to grow and develop more as a company, but also I'll be able to give my team so many more tools to be able to work with, with regards to dealing with guests, dealing with each other, just dealing with life in general, really. So it's going to be an exciting development. There's a lot going. We're expanding very fast, and we have some other exciting elements, including products and things like that coming on board. So yeah, a lot happening.
I find you very impressive, and I'm really honoured to have had you on this podcast. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Jay. I really appreciate it.
No, of course. It's been my pleasure, honestly. This is my first podcast with The Bench and many more to come. But whoever's got this far into the podcast is still putting up with me. Please do say hello to Heidi and to Sasha, the marketing manager for Elena Spa at FHS World. I'm sure there's going to be lots of networking and lots of opportunities. Hopefully not too many drinks in McGettigans. It will be a pleasure to see you both. And as I say, we're really looking forward to welcoming you there. And, please use me as a reference anytime. I think I've
Thank
said
you.
that a million times. So thank you for coming on.
Thank
And
you
as I
so
say,
much. I look forward to meeting you. Yeah.
yeah, likewise. And do keep in touch, and no doubts we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Jay. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.